because then it like fades in better because there's time.
Then it's almost like we were talking the whole time.
Yeah, and people like to come in the middle of the conversation, right?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. What's up, everybody? Hello.
Hey.
What are you saying, Brandon?
Yo.
And they have to like ask what's going on.
They do, but that's okay because we usually explain it to them. Welcome to episode 12 of Work in Progress. On my left, starting with
Andrew.
Mitch. Brandon.
Tess.
again and Jake. We are once again without Ian, and this is the first time in about 4 or 5 weeks, I think, that we don't have a guest
Yep.
for the second episode in a week.
Yep.
Can I do my chip shtick?
No.
Fine.
This podcast was brought to you in part by Chips. Chips are good.
That's gonna sound so good when we hear it.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I'm looking forward to
I
it.
just
The crunch was a little lacking.
reach
Yeah.
across the
I
table
know.
and slap
I
the
think your
shit
first
out of you.
crunch was better.
Well, you don't like
Need
me
a
going.
soundbite of you slapping.
Yeah,
Anymore.
just bam. Yeah, so like I said, we are without Ian, we are without a guest, but that's okay because we had I'm taking this away from you.
Yeah, it's good.
Every time we start a podcast, you throw this fucking. You're
Just
gonna
throwing
throw
a
it
paper
now.
airplane for those
Oh no,
at
it's
home.
yeah, it's a tiny paper airplane he made like 4 episodes ago.
I didn't make it.
Someone made it like 4 episodes ago, and he just keeps throwing it. every
His
time.
offense, I threw it at him earlier.
Oh, was it? Okay.
He incited me.
I incited him.
Yeah, but you threw it at me like at the beginning of the podcast last.
But I threw it at everyone.
He did.
It's a rite of passage, man.
It's being taken away. is what we're gonna do because god damn it. All right, I'm fucking
Oh no.
just be a dick somewhere else, God. So yeah, we're just gonna do the same thing we did on episode 11, and I'm actually pretty okay with that because I had fun last time.
Good. Good. Yeah.
I, however, am going to stop drinking.
We
because
can
I do not
talk
wanna get
about the world.
shit.
Maybe
We can actually talk about
exciting
comic books a little bit.
news developments.
I meant to talk about whenever we were while we took our break there.
Right.
We were talking about comic books. Did you hear that Marvel is going to basically before Watchmen, Miracle Man? If you don't know who Miracle Man is, he's like the British equivalent of Captain Marvel.
Oh,
So he has like basically all the same powers and shit.
okay. So it's
but
it's a
he's like the
Watchmen
British.
character, or-
No, he's not a Watchmen character.
Okay.
He's just like they're going to take him because he's notorious. He was like a Golden Age character that stopped being used, and then Alan Moore got a hold of him in the '80s and was like, "I'm gonna make him gritty and dark and fucking
Alan Moore.
quote on Alan Moore."
Got it.
And then after that, Neil Gaiman got a hold of him right after. I think it was right after he
Both
did his
good writers.
Sandman stuff. He got a hold of him. He did another one that was also like critically acclaimed.
I'm gonna make him weird and
weird
Diamond
and
thing,
whimsical and delightful.
yeah.
But yeah, that Marvel's basically announced that they're going to do the same thing with Miracle Man that DC did with Watchmen, where they're going to make like a prequel series for it. Which I don't actually give a shit about Miracle Man because he's
I
kind of.
know nothing about him.
Do you know who Captain Marvel is?
Is he a shaman?
Yeah, like
He's not a shaman.
Which
Okay.
Captain Marvel are you talking though?
Not this.
Like
not
Shazam or like legit like.
Like
Captain
legit
Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay.
Not Shazam.
Okay,
Shazam.
then
I don't consider Shazam Captain Marvel.
That's fine.
Yeah, not
many
like
people
actual
did.
Captain Marvel.
Okay, I know very little about him.
Yeah, but he's got like all the standard superpowers.
I know he can
There's-
fly and he has super strength and yeah.
He's literally just got all like the base level
Yeah.
fucking superpowers to be a superhero.
It's sad that that's become the
The
norm.
standard, yeah. Like anybody automatically has these powers plus whatever the fuck makes them in whatever.
Pretty much.
You have to fly. You got
Oh.
super strength. You gotta
Uh huh.
still with your
So you
eyes.
brought this up. I want to take this time to plug in what I'm doing comic book wise right now, like writing.
Did you bring that so I could read it?
I didn't yet.
You're a motherfucker.
I'm in the middle of actually like converting the first issue like into an actual draft on the computer because I'm
Okay.
gonna send it out to a couple people to look at it.
Like important people or just
Like
People.
friends of mine who
Okay.
have my similar interest in
am
comics.
I in that
Yes.
list?
Yes.
I'd read it.
Feels good to be on the list.
This one is not my original one.
Okay, so it's not the one with the
It's not the multiple
three
people being
guys
the same
and the
guys.
son.
It's not that one.
Okay.
I've had this idea for a little less time, or no, that's a lie. I came up with the idea about 2 years ago, but I dropped it
Okay.
just because I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't have any aspirations to work on it. And then again, it was one of those: I'm at home, I'm bored, and I've just started writing, and I have about 2 issues down. I only have started the 3rd. And my first issue turned out in a way that I'm very, very happy with.
Yeah.
The whole plot of this one is it's essentially just, without spoiling too much, the main character loses his family in Collateral Damage.
Okay.
We always see superheroes do the big epic fights, and
But
we
you
always
never
laugh
see the-
about the buildings collapsing and stuff, but we never actually like catch up with these people.
So
you,
it's
never,
like-
you never see the consequences.
So
Yeah.
it's like Hinch. There was a comic book series done back in the early 2000s called, it was like Hinch or Henchman. But
Okay.
It was basically written from the point of view of a henchman.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like the
Cool.
yeah, and it was really good because the guy who created it said that he got the idea when he was looking at the very first Superman comic, and there's
Yeah.
just a guy standing there just while it wasn't a Superman comic, but it was some comic that
Yeah,
was
whatever.
referencing that comic, and there's a henchman standing there just while the guy lifts the car. He's like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
And so he's just he
That
just
sounds
tells
awesome.
the story. Yeah, it's actually really good.
But anyway, the guy ends up showing back up later on, and because of the whole, he gets caught. I've been calling the comic Collateral Damage as of late, and
You should just call it Collateral.
I should. The main character, he's not really the main character of the first two issues either. That's why I kind of like him.
Yeah.
The main goal I want with him is he just wants to kill every single super-powered thing.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I know.
That guy's a dick.
The best part about it, though, is this lets me make parodies and subtle references to superheroes and comics that I really like. So essentially, my first issue is basically the death of Superman.
Oh, good.
But instead of it being like Doomsday or something huge, it's just this guy.
Yeah.
And I wrote it to be like just... again, my main character... the first big superhero that I wanted to start off with always in my mind is Superman.
So,
But I don't just want to flat out call him Superman.
because that's copyrighted.
Exactly.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
gave him, I want the cape, the standard thing.
Yeah.
So we were talking about like the standard set of powers,
Yeah.
the fly, super strength, and vulnerability. He has all that, and he's the good guy.
Yeah.
So the first issue starts literally with like him in the middle of a battle with like essentially like an evil copy of himself.
Yeah.
Like how they're like
Bizarro Superman.
kinda, yeah, like the heroes who have the villains who have the same power set.
Yeah.
So they're like
Spider-Man and Venom.
yes,
Yeah.
but he's like, but I stand for everything you don't, and yes, shit like that. So they're in the middle of just this fight. Big epic Man of Steel end up fighting, like going through walls.
Fucking Christ.
I know, but this works really well with this story idea. So in the middle of this fighting, like I called in my comic because I wanted something corny, but I wanted it to sound about right. So I named my Superman-esque character Mr. Amazing.
That might actually be a copyright.
It might,
name.
but I don't care right
In
now.
fact, I'm pretty sure it is.
Again, though, it's
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah,
my
yeah.
rough draft, and at least I'm like, all right, I can at least work
Well,
with
Mr.
this.
Spectacular.
That's not bad either. Yeah, I just wanted something corny, but it sounded like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Mr. Incredible,
Very
stuff like that.
comic booky, yeah.
Mr. Yeah, very much. And so, in the midst of all this fighting, Superman, Mr. Amazing, is flying around. He's like trying to find the bad guy that he's been fighting, and he sees just this little girl crying.
Yeah.
And this house is. I'm spoiling the first issue, by the way.
That's
if you don't mind.
I
This
spoiled the first book
this is
of
my
my
pleasure.
5-book series.
I should intervene and say that it does not appear that Mr. Amazing is actually taken as a superhero name.
No. Oh, does it? Oh,
Yeah.
shit. All right. Never mind then.
It just it sounds
Dibs.
so. It sounds
Yeah,
like
it sounds
would be,
very much like a.
There's a loan
That's kinda what I was
company
going
that's
for,
called
actually.
Mr. Amazing Loans.
So you might have to fight them.
You might draw some ire or from
Fire.
Mr. Amazing yo-yo shows and demonstrations.
Because it's this guy.
But
I feel like they probably don't have the legal fortitude.
Otherwise,
To,
otherwise it looks like you're in pretty good shape, honestly.
Fair enough.
So
Nice.
he finds this little girl crying, and he like flies down to her, and he just goes, "I need you to. Where are your parents?" He's just trying to talk to this girl, and the little girl's like,
Where's my family?
Where's your family?
little girl's like 7, so she's still crying, and he can't do anything. So he like picks her up, and he like takes her to a firefighter. He's like, "Look, I need to beat this guy."
Yeah.
And
Take this child.
I had this very. I ended up rewriting this when I was typing it out, and the firefighter just keeps on like wanting to like salute him. He's like, "I'm not your.
Yeah.
Don't worry
salute
about
me,
it right
just
now.
fucking take
Don't
the
worry
kid."
about it right now." So he flies off. The guy who is essentially evil version of him. And again, like he's fighting a guy with essentially his moveset. I called the character Force.
Oh, Christ.
Just because I got to use again a very. It sounds like it would work
Yeah.
in like any classic
Might as
comic.
well call him Meat Hammer. I mean, it's
This
same
is
point
why.
across.
Clarence Beef.
Clarence Beef Tank.
I was trying to think of a name. He's fighting essentially Amazing's sidekick,
Yeah.
who I do not have a name for him yet.
Is it Boy Spectacular?
Oh, I don't have a superhero name for him. I call
Is it Boy Spectacular?
No.
Oh, okay.
the guy he's fighting is essentially his sidekick. His name is John. He's like 18 or 17. At one moment, he has got, just because this is how I planned it out, he's got wind powers or whatever. So the whole time they're fighting, this bad guy's like calling him Stormy and stupid names. The kid's like trying to do anything.
Yeah, trying to get his head.
He's getting like pummeled by essentially Superman. So he dodges most of the hits. He gets a good hit, and the kid's almost like dead.
Yeah. Because
Amazing, because whatever. So Amazing shows up. They end up duking it out. This is where I came up with the Force line. He's like, I need you to stand down, and he calls him by his name, and he's like, I told you to call me Force because I'm so damn forceful. But again, though, I thought it was so like just cliche superhero stuff.
You're appealing to such a niche audience here.
I know,
that's fine. Like there's some great comic books that do it.
I know, but it's from this point that I start drifting away from that and
campiness.
From the campiness, because I wanted to show like this is a superhero comic. This is any other superhero comic. Except, by the way, the second half's going to get bad.
Because it's not told from their point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
So, they end up beating him. They put him away. He talks to the police. They're like, we got a special cell all for him, whatever, yada, yada, yada. So they're driving him away. The guy who ended up, who's the ride-along, ends up killing him silently. We see this, happen.
Killing the boy?
No, the guy who's in the ride-along with, Force, the bad guy.
Okay.
So he beats him. They're like, all right, we're gonna take him to prison. Yada yada yada.
Okay.
Same old. So he's unconscious.
Force is unconscious.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're like, all right, we're gonna put him in this van, an ambulance or something, and it's gonna be responsible for getting him to this prison.
Yeah.
A guy hops in this section with him to make sure that he's alive.
Under the guise of
just one of the guys.
Yeah.
This is my main character.
Okay.
I don't give.
But
him
you don't know he's.
I don't give him a name again until third issue.
Yeah.
And he sees him and he's monitoring and he just kills him. How
very anticlimactic.
Superman's thing is kryptonite.
Yeah.
I wanted to find something reasonable.
Yeah.
But difficult to think of, so I made it diamond or whatever. But again, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So he kills him. We go a day later. We see Amazing talking to John, his sidekick, and being like, "You all right? Are you?"
Yeah, it's okay. I got 8 broken ribs, but I'm all right.
We went through a lot of shit and whatnot, and then you hear cars crash. And he's like, I have to go. And he's like, stay here. Your 8 ribs are out.
Exactly.
Whatever. He's like, stay here.
You're broken.
Stay here. And he flies off. And then Sidekick Boy does naturally what he does, and he runs into his house, grabs a mask or whatever, and
limps away.
Yeah. We see that it's just a townscape. Again, no one's outside. We see a car crash and just a guy just laying down, being ah.
Yeah.
And he flies down, walks up, and he's like, "Sir, are you okay?" And as he flips him over, it's the guy pulls out a diamond blade and just starts shanking him.
Oh shit!
Legit, and he's really,
what the fuck is happening?
Really, he gets a couple hits just because he's that close. You don't expect that to happen. Mm-hmm. Just steps back and just kind of amazement and shock and just kind of what the fuck?
Captain Amazing.
That whole
it is amazement.
He's just again, it's not it's the complete reverse of how everyone knows Kryptonite is good against Superman. This is rare.
Yeah, this isn't something that's known.
Yeah, so and suddenly he's bleeding crazy. Again, he's Mr. Amazing. You wouldn't expect this.
Yeah. And now he's doubled over and
and now he's bleeding badly in the street. The guy pulls out a pistol and starts shooting. I know this is corny, but I like it. Just diamond bullets. He's got bullets out. He just starts shooting him.
Yeah.
He's taking more and more hits, and it's just one of those
just stop killing him.
You're killing the all-American man or whatever. Yeah. Sidekick shows up, has what the fuck? My dad, mentor, whatever, is in worse shape than I've ever seen him in. Tries to fight him.
It's nothing. The guy's just fuck off.
Guy basically just beats him. Yeah. And just it looks like he's gonna kill him.
Whips him like a child.
It looks like he's about to kill him, and he just goes, "Stop while you're here. Don't go. Don't take this route any further," and just knocks him unconscious.
Yeah.
Walks up to dying.
Oh man, you should have him be "Don't be a hero."
Yeah, I kind of had a moment that. Superman essentially is dying now. Guy walks up and says, "You never, collateral damage." I have a whole monologue.
Yeah. A whole evil villain monologue.
It's not even evil. It's just one of those fuck you. That's essentially the monologue.
Literally, he just looks at him fuck you, and then he kills him.
Yeah. Kills him, goes up to a car, hotwires it.
That's
As
awesome.
he sits as he drives away, I wanted to cut back to the little girl. Mm-hmm. who's like being driven away in like the fire truck, and the girl's not crying, but she's just like staring
At
forward.
what just happened?
Just at.
Or
She's
no,
nowhere
just-
near.
Oh, okay.
She's just staring ahead of her. It's not that she's not crying. She's sad but angry, like that kind of just emotionless looking face, but you can tell. And then we flash back to the guy who killed him, and he has the same exact expression.
Okay.
And then he drives off. So that's my first issue.
That sounds awesome.
Okay.
So that's kind of where along I'm going with.
Fair.
The second issue I started, I kind of have a recap of like
What happened?
all of these, the superhero side of it.
Yeah.
So like we end up meeting essentially if my main guy was
Is it like
Superman.
the fallout of like all these other superheroes realize that like the big superhero is dead? They're
yeah,
like, what do we
it's
do?
like the start of that. Like,
Okay. So it's like the formation of like a Justice League in this world, kind of.
yeah, it's
Okay.
basically saying like because I even mentioned like there being a team, but
yeah.
no one got the call for this.
Yeah.
So we only meet like 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
I mean, the characters that I'm essentially parroting off of is like I have essentially like an Iron Man
Okay.
character who I've been working a lot more on the characteristics of, and he's going to be a lot more fucked up than I originally
More
intended.
fucked up than an alcoholic.
More than Tony Stark.
Sexist, racist.
More than Tony Stark. Not an alcoholic, but in a more I don't know. I'll get to that later. Essentially, Supergirl, because I
Okay.
love that idea.
Yeah.
And then I introduced one character who's kind of like, in my mind, more like Constantine.
Okay.
Kind of like that. So that's all the other superheroes that I mentioned so
Everyone
far.
always forgets about Constantine.
Existing.
And he's so rad.
Probably
But,
because Keanu Reeves ruined it for a while.
You say ruined, and I love the fuck out
I
of it.
actually really
I
enjoyed
never
the
saw
movie.
it, honestly. I just heard it was pretty bad.
It's not bad. It's awesome.
But that's
People
essentially
know what
the
it's talking
path
about.
where I'm going. I have a lot more what the fuck events
Yeah.
planned, but I made a point to try and make the first half of that one just looking like, oh, this is just like any other comic. Why is it this graphic at the end?
Ooh.
So I kind
I
of
like it. I like
where they're
that angle
Yeah.
a lot.
going. I
Sounds
wrote
awesome.
on Facebook.
Did you say sounds nasty?
What?
Did you say it sounds
No, I
nasty?
said it sounds awesome.
Oh, okay.
It sounds so good. Like I could totally see it when you were describing it. Like I could just see
Oh,
it
thanks.
in my head.
I started writing the 3rd issue, and I kind of had to stop right now because I've got a lot of work going on right now. I want to get back to it tomorrow. But I made this my Facebook status, and I just said, I've essentially introduced my main character in this 3rd issue with his version of a Vietnam flashback.
Yeah.
I just said, and I love that I can do this. Just because, like, I really don't even mention the killer
Yeah.
in the 2nd issue. He shows up for, like, a panel
Yeah.
at the very end to be like, he's still a thing, like,
By the way,
but
he exists still.
3rd issue is really just going to start introducing him and why I want him to be my main focus.
Yeah.
Because like even if each issue isn't about him, I want him to be seen at least somewhere because he's like the overarching thing. But
Yeah.
I'd love to read your drafts of that.
thank
Sounds
you.
really
Yeah, I'm almost done writing. In my words, a comic book script of it. Even though I don't write like panel 1 is this, panel 2 is
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
But
Well, you don't really have to.
no. But
Comic
almost,
book writing is comic book script writing is.
it's kind of like what you would make.
It's like Ian was talking about
Yeah.
it before. It's kind of like writing a script for a movie, but it's so much looser because no one's bothered to make like
Right.
a definitive. This is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally like the loosest format you could possibly write in.
You basically write together a script that an artist can look at and visualize.
Yeah, and they literally that's all you need. You don't
It's,
need
it's not about ordering your artist around so much as being like, here's my story, fucking
Go.
go draw
and
that.
you can always. It seems I don't know if anybody else can do it, but I can always really I think kind of tell whenever a writer likes to take the reins when it comes to comic books.
Yes.
Because if you're too specific or you label it out too much, the artist doesn't really have any like room to work around it.
Mhm.
They can't put themselves into it. And the greatest comic books are always a collaborative effort between the writer and the artist. So if the artist can't get their emotion and their art into what you're creating, then it's very one-sided and it feels very hollow.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest example that I can think of would probably be what was it called? There was like a 6-issue miniseries that I read that the writing was fantastic, but the art in it fucking sucked.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't because the artist was bad. Like the artist was renowned as a very, very good artist, but it just you could tell that he had just been like boxed into this corner.
Gotcha.
God damn it, now I can't remember what it was. Anyway,
A big issue that I got a lot out of and that I think always needs to be like rated highly, even if you didn't like. This is a Batman issue. even if you weren't the biggest fan of Damian Wayne, this most current Robin, it was weird because they killed him off in a comic that no one really expected him to die off in.
Yeah.
But then they made there was a series going on called Batman and Robin, and they'd been planning this. This was the immediate issue after his death. This was the comic that was basically
The next 5 issues, wasn't it?
Huh?
It was the next 5 issues, wasn't it? That they did
That
it wasn't
does-
Batman and Robin anymore. It was Batman and whoever.
But they'd been planning this out, and it's the immediate issue that came out like right after his death, and it was a pure silent issue.
Yeah.
It was just all art. It was there were no like thought bubbles, no words were exchanged. It was
No
all just
editorial
it was
notes.
all just showing, not telling. And I read the issue where Damien dies, and you don't really feel it in that one. This one, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Because it was so good, and it's one of those moments like after I have a couple of people read it, I want to start seeing like branching off to artists and be like,
Yeah.
"Hi, can one of you guys give this a shot?"
Well, like, I've been into comics since I was like 10-ish, but I started really following them when I was about 14. Like I
Same here,
would
yeah.
read them from like 10 to 14, but I wasn't like super into it. Then I got into high school and was like, fuck, I like comics.
Yeah.
And up until I was about, it was actually about when I was 14. Up until that point, I never really, I appreciated the fact that we needed art, like in any kind of form, but it never really clicked with me. Because I was like, I mean, I get that we need it, it helps people, but it kind of seems like a waste to me.
Right.
Because I'd never seen something that I looked at and was like, man, this has made me feel something I never felt before. Or even like hearing a story about like the sad fucking Vincent Van Gogh stories.
Yeah.
You hear them when you're like 8 or 9 in fucking art class, and you're just like, wow, that guy was fucking crazy. I'm gonna go make a cup. And you just don't give a shit. And
I'm gonna draw some fruit in a bowl.
yeah, but I remember sitting there and I was actually reading. Maybe it was later than I was 14. It had to have been because I was reading the Venom story arc, the first Venom story arc in Ultimate Spider-Man, and there is a wide panel shot of when Peter finally, like, he's been really angsty because it's the Venom storyline. And it's literally
that's what happens.
Like teen angst. That's the fucking storyline. And he finally decides that he needs to confront this fucking thing. And he's on this rooftop and it's raining and he's in this hoodie and it's just a wide panel shot of him from the side and Venom just like bulky as shit, like standing there.
And he looks so small.
Yeah, and he looks so
compared to him,
small. And it was like, I remember that being the moment where suddenly I understood like everything. Like I saw it and I felt like, I understand you, Peter. And it was very
I
much.
feel you, man.
It was very much like that, connecting with the thing, and it had nothing to do with writing. There's no words on that panel. It's
just them looking at each
the
other.
artist. Yeah, it's in everything leading up to it, and everything after it. The artist managed to somehow convey such passion in that one panel that after that, I can look at a fucking I can go to an art museum. I can actually
see
appreciate
it.
what I'm looking
Yeah.
at. I can see why people like looking at this shit. And segueing off of that, which is what I wanted to talk about. My friend Justin, not the Justin we talk about here. This Justin is
not
like,
the mascot of our
not the mascot of our
podcast.
No. This Justin lives in New York, and this one I will not say his last name because I'm pretty sure that I actually could.
Anyway,
but he's like the reverse me. Like I'm a white guy who's super black inside, or wants to be.
Sure,
super
you
black.
are.
Yes, that one right there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's he's a black guy who's kind of white inside. Like he plays Pokemon like all the time, and he listens to like Broken Social Scene and all this shit. But he made a post on Facebook about this artist called Amy Milan, who I'm pretty sure is a member of Broken Social Scene. But she has a solo project. She has 2 albums out. Her first one is Honey from the Tombs, and her second one is Master of the Burial or something like that. And there's a song on Honey from the Tombs called Losing You. And the music she makes in her solo project is very like northern, like country folksy kind of music.
Okay.
And it sounds weird, but this has happened to me twice in my entire life, and this song was one of them. Music outside of movies doesn't tend to make me emotional. Like, I'll hear it and be like, that's a good song, or whatever, but I never, like, outside of like getting pumped up at club music or anything, it doesn't really
got one
like
for you
affect
in a
me.
little bit, yeah.
The context of a movie or TV show overlaid with the song can really help like illustrate the meaning of a song.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I've definitely been there. Yeah.
Yeah, but with just music, like just a song, it's never really hit me, and I akin this moment a lot to that same comic book moment. But it's happened twice. The first time was with Sarah Siskin's song "Lovin' for Fools," and the second time was this happened literally like 5 days ago.
Okay.
With Amy Milan's "Losing You," and I was listening to it at work. I saw it, and I was like, Justin listens to pretty good music. On a whim, I like listened to it, and I'm sitting there and I have my phone up to my ear because I can't keep it very loud because I'm on break, and I'm sitting in our like lobby, and it's like 8:30 at night or whatever. No one's fucking there.
Right.
And I'm just listening to it, and it gets about halfway, and I sob because it's so fucking sad. Like, I have never felt as sad as I did listening to that song, except for the Sarah Siskin song. And I instantly fell in love with Amy Milan and all of her music. I went home, I got both of her albums, and I just listened to them like 5 times over.
I'm gonna need to hear this after the.
No, yeah, that's fine. No, it's oh, fucking God. And I have no idea why. Like, there's no words in the song that like particularly pertain to me. It didn't like. There's nothing going on in my life that's really mirrored by the song or anything. It's just, I find it strange that something as simple as like a panel in a comic book or one song that has absolutely nothing to do with anything going on in my or anyone's life can affect someone so wholeheartedly. Like, I strongly feel that these things have, like, when they happen, they rock me to my core. And like, perfect example is, much like Andrew was broken with movies the first time he cried at them, I, like, ever since the fucking Amy Milan song, I'm sitting in the car, like, there's a Passenger song.
Yeah.
The band Passenger has a song out right now called Let Her Go or something. And I've heard that song like 12,000 times. Yeah. I've heard it so many times, and I was just like, it's alright, whatever. And I'm listening to it on my way home from work tonight, and I'm sitting there like, I'm so sad.
It's like you're hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, it baffles me that I can't have control over something that can so profoundly change my view.
Do you want to know about the most heart-crushing song I've heard?
Yes.
It's by Blue October, who are
Oh, God.
who are pseudo kings of writing really depressing music.
Yeah.
You've probably heard what's the fucking Hurt?
Hate Me?
Hate Me.
Hate Me was their big one, which is
I
nowhere
like
near as dark and depressing as they can get. On the dark spectrum, I say he because it's basically one guy writes all the music, and then it's a band effort playing it. But the lyrics itself are one guy's vision typically. There's one song called The End. This is not the song I'm talking about that started this, but they have one song called The End that is really reminiscent of Eminem's Kim.
Oh, God.
Where he basically just goes into like this fantasy of catching his woman cheating on him and killing both of them. And it's pretty fucking extreme. That's not a sad song. That's a really weird, angry song, which I can also appreciate. But no, Blue October's got a really, really sad song on one of their albums. I think the same album as Hate Me, actually. But it features Imogen Heap on it as well, who's a killer musician. And
What'd you say? Call her that.
And she's a wonderful female vocalist for the song. But it's called Congratulations.
It's sort of for her.
I fucking love her, so we better stay away from this.
We better not have this conversation.
But she has a really great dynamic to the song. It's called Congratulations, and it's the story of it's based on a real friend of his who approaches a lifelong love of his at her wedding, and basically pulls her aside and confesses that he's been in love with her for so
terrible
long.
time.
And well, yeah, it's like it's her wedding day. This is like the last day where she's not committed to someone else. Like it's basically seen as like the last chance. Obviously, you should have gotten it out of the way way earlier.
Pretty serious at that point.
Through a series of events, he has not had a chance.
They made a couple of plans.
But he takes her aside on her wedding day and confesses his love to her and how he's loved her for so long and has always loved her and will love her till the day he dies. And she basically says back to him, I loved you for the longest time too, and always wanted you. I always wanted you to be upfront about that, but I couldn't wait for you forever. I had to move on, and I've got to turn you down now because I'm getting married to someone else. And the guy this isn't mentioned in the song, but it's you just get that nice heart crushing emotion in the song. But it helps to know the context.
Nice heart.
Afterwards, the guy went over and killed himself just a couple months later. Which again is not in the song, but it makes the song a little more meaningful anyway.
Yeah.
But the song is basically just that conversation is
Nice.
him taking her aside and saying, "I've wanted to tell you for years that I've loved you," and yada yada. And it almost sounds happy and upbeat, just the tone of the music.
Yeah.
But the lyrical content is so fucking sad, and it's probably the saddest song I know. Like it really pulls the emotion out of me.
That sounds
Like,
about right.
like Toy Story 3 does.
Yeah. Toy Story 3. Fucking Armageddon. Oh.
Not fucking Armageddon.
Not Armageddon.
I had a moment with it wasn't a completely like it wasn't a cry moment, but it was like I felt completely like at peace. One of those moments.
Yeah.
I was walking out of Craig Hall, like one of our buildings on campus, and it had been snowing like crazy. I mean, there was most snow I had seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And it is still snowing.
Especially in Missouri, where recently
Right.
it's been more ice, really,
Yeah.
than snow during the winters.
But it was just very, very white.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that in a long time. And so I walked out of the building. Our class had gotten out a bit early, but I was kind of the first one to get out of the building. And it's because of Mark, honestly, that I at least enjoy classical music.
Yeah.
Like, because he would throw it on whenever he was doing homework.
For
because,
funsies, yeah.
Well, he would just say, and I agree with this because I'm the same way. He goes, whenever I'm truly trying to work on homework, I can't have lyrics.
I study to film scores.
Nice.
Pandora has a movie music radio station that I just
Nice.
and it does the trick.
I don't study.
Fair enough.
I'm a terrible student. So.
So I put a couple classical ones that I was at least somewhat familiar with, or whatever, onto my MP3. And so as I'm walking out of the building, it's the time that like that song on my MP3 has just stopped and switching over to the next one.
Yeah.
And it goes into Moonlight Sonata.
Oh my god. I
Which
love
is
that song.
very, very
Beautiful
pretty.
song,
yeah.
And each step I took to this very pretty just piano, I just see the snow falling, and I just went, whew. All right.
It's like
it's just me.
This is a fucking moment.
Yeah, it was, and I just felt like it's just me here. And so I walked back and I just sat down and was like, anyway, what do we guys,
Yeah. Who wants to do stuff?
You jump right back into it, but it was just one of those, like, I could take a breath.
Yeah.
And
For
it
that
was,
5
was
seconds,
relaxing.
you're like,
so,
oh man.
So I really like that song a lot too, just mostly because of that moment.
That's just so great. Like I've addressed on the show before how I'm one of those guys who's always walking around with headphones in his ears.
He's very much like a don't fucking talk to me kind of person.
Yeah, I'm sort of a recluse when I'm not like in a direct social situation. I just like to just walk around and tune it out. But I get that sometimes. Your iPod's just shuffling along, and then it just kind of hits a perfect song for like whatever you're doing at that instance, and that's just killer, man. That's one of the reasons I love music so much, is because like there's somewhere out there at any given time, there's like a song that's just fucking perfect for what's happening for you right now, and it's so great. This is one of my favorite parts about my recent breakup, was I got to fucking appreciate, like, for the first time in years and years and years, I really got to appreciate, like, vindictive and heartbroken music and shit, and, like, it had been years since I, like, really got to sit down and just do some angry music and just really fucking feel it. That's what's great, is music is always there for you, man. There's always a good song for what's happening.
I
You
had
just gotta find it.
one of the, I'm gonna name drop him again, Grenadina, their lead singer.
Oh yeah, it's a new episode.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta throw that out.
No, I'm friends with every single member of that band on Facebook, but Katie Ford, who I've known since probably either last year of high school, maybe right after it. We worked together at the movie theater, though. She posted a status today about that. Like, she had a really shitty day, and she was going out to her car, and she was, like, talking to her iPod, like, all right, I just want the most fucking evil, like, metal, just horrible shit ever. And it's not that hard, because that's, like, 3/4 of the fucking music she listens to is, like, hardcore, like, death metal kind of shit.
Yeah. And
And she gets in her car, and it just plays, like, Fall Out Boy and, and fucking something else that's, like, really, like, bubblegum pop. And I like, it seems to me more often than not that I get that kind of shit where I want to listen to something, but no matter what, I keep coming across shit that is just exactly opposite.
I find that my MP3 player rarely pulls it off on command.
Yeah.
Like if I'm just shuffling along, I rarely am like, oh god, I really need something angry, and it's just
Right.
like, nope.
You literally go through like
Nope.
5,000
Nope.
songs and not find a single
Nope,
fucking
you're
one.
getting fucking Paramore
Yeah.
and
Feel good,
Skrillex
bitch. Yeah.
and Gorillaz and all this shit. I'm like, you're doing me wrong, iPod. You got to kind of learn like certain bands that you have to kind of
Yeah.
shoot for. Like Mariana's Trench, who I always need to thank you for getting me
Oh,
into,
yeah.
by the way, is one of my favorite upbeat poppy bands.
That's like the one thing I can ever say.
It's true.
I
It's
introduced
true.
to Andrew
Nice.
before
He
introduced to me.
he actually hooked me on a band once, and they're one of my absolute favorites.
So
So
good.
till my dying day, I owe him that one. But they're one of like the most upbeat poppy bands I know. So if I'm in a good mood, they're like one of the first things I think of. It's like, let's throw on Mariana's Trench. So you gotta find your sweet spots and just know where they are like on command. Now I'm like, if I'm super depressed, I throw on Blue October because I know they're there for me.
They know my feelings.
So I got another one where it's synced up perfectly, but for the worser reasons.
Okay.
So I'm walking down campus, and for some reason, like, I just start seeing like people just kind of like looking at each other and just having that worried conversation. Like they're just something's up.
Is it like everyone around you? or
Just
is
like
it
there are like
a
clumps
group
of like
people?
groups because I'm walking like on campus, so you know
Okay.
there are people everywhere and they're all talking, and it just looks like they're all just kind of like being like they're like they had just seen some
Like
bad stuff
paranoid
happen.
or something?
Yeah, like something like that. And as I get closer, I see like siren lights and
Oh,
more
shit.
and more cops. I forgot what happened, but like the minute I start walking and the minute I start seeing like the lights,
Yeah.
my MP3 kicked on the Walking Dead theme.
So right.
So I'm hearing like the
Yeah.
you know, very dramatic
Favorite
music.
part of that show.
It's so
Very
good.
dramatic music, and I was like, oh,
I
change
got
it.
Something bad's going on.
so uncomfortable. I know you didn't watch the season 4 premiere. I broke my own personal rule. I never saw the second half of season 3 because I just got super busy and I didn't
Sure, yeah.
watch it. But Sonya is super into that show. And we actually had to get back on Sunday from St. Louis purposely early so
watch?
that she could watch it. Yeah.
Nice.
And she sat down and she watched it while I uploaded all our previous podcasts to SoundCloud.
Yeah,
I
nice.
Put all of the shit on our new posting site. And I told myself, I was like, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to concentrate on doing this fucking podcast shit, and I'm just not going to watch this because I don't want to have anything spoiled.
Yeah.
I know it's the first episode, it's fucking, nothing's going to get spoiled, but I caught myself like 4 times just watching because it's
It's
like,
a good show.
and like Andrew said that he tried to get through season 3 and he just fucking couldn't. And I've actually heard a lot
No,
of.
I ultimately got through it, but I decided I'm done. getting
okay,
through
yeah.
it.
What was up? You want me asking?
Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, he's just not a fan.
If you want, I can go into reasons why, but I don't want to shit all over our good times.
Podcast, whatever.
Oh, good times.
Well,
Talk
just
about
'cause I-
crying and music and shit.
He got me into reading it.
It's so.
I
So-
adore the comics.
I-
Oh wait, no.
That's-
I read it a lot more than
it's
I-
Mariana's Trench and Walking Dead that I can say, or did someone else get you to Walking Dead?
I might have just done that of my own. I think you gave me the comics.
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim, yeah.
That was the
I
other
do
one.
owe you
That's
Scott
what it
Pilgrim.
was. Yeah.
You did give me The Walking Dead, but you gave me a lot of comics that I never actually got around to reading.
yeah.
I ended up
All of which were good.
I ended up reading The Walking Dead of my own volition, but it was Scott Pilgrim
Yeah.
that you got me into. I do owe you that
The
one.
best part was that I didn't give him the last book because it when I gave him all the shit, it hadn't come out yet, so I didn't have it.
Yeah.
But I gave you books 1 through 5 or
1
something.
through 5, and
yeah.
by the time I sat down and read them, book 6 had been out for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
and he told me the next day after he finished, he was like, I got to the end of 5 and I was like, it can't end here. What's going
there
on?
must be more.
Because it does. Book 5 ends on a really it's not really a cliffhanger. It just doesn't feel complete.
Walking Dead or Scott Pilgrim?
Scott Pilgrim. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd call it a cliffhanger. I mean, it's like half cliffhanger, half super depressing end.
Yeah,
Like, if
yeah.
this were the end of the books, this would be just horrible.
Well, it's because he has that really defeated moment.
yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, what were we talking about? You specifically.
Walking Dead
Walking
TV
Dead,
show.
Walking Dead TV show. That's right. Yeah, I caught myself multiple times just watching this TV show. I fucking spoiled it for myself. I know exactly what fucking happens. Did anybody else watch it? Does anybody else watch Walking Dead?
I
Or am I alone?
I wouldn't spoil it just for the sake of our listeners.
Yeah, it is still pretty fresh.
I do want to quick say what when you got me into it, what happened to me. You had
The Walking Dead?
The Walking Dead
Okay,
comic. You had just started talking it to me this was when did we meet? Our sophomore year?
It would be your sophomore year.
My sophomore
Because
year.
it was while
That's right,
I was
that's
at MSU and I was on there first.
That's right. So the comic had been out for a while, and they just released their first big omnibus,
The compendium one.
the first telephone book
of all of them.
I have
Like,
both of
I
those.
think it's issues
I
1 through
need them.
40.
It's 1 through 48. Yeah.
Yes. And so you'd been talking to me about it. You're like, you should read this, and you just drop
Yeah,
this
you're like,
text.
here you go, buddy.
You just draw me this textbook of comic that I'd been curious about. So I was like, all right. So I read it was December. So I read the first 3 chapters of when I say chapters, I mean issues. And I was like, all right, this is cool. I can see that I'll like this, or I'm curious about it. But I kind of set it down because we had finals and we had a lot of crap going on. So it's winter break, and I had asked, and you were like, yeah, you can take it home with you. So this is when we're in the dorms. They kick you out after winter break. So I go back home. It's at the point where my family falls asleep at 10:30, and I don't.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm getting into that mode. So it's
Exactly.
maybe I watch TV for a little bit. It's maybe 11:30, and I'm just like, well, I'm not tired, but I don't want to, nothing's on TV. So I'm like, oh, well, I brought the compendium with me.
Yeah.
So I get it, and I start just reading this, and I'm just really enjoying this. And so finally, I get to about the halfway point through this telephone textbook.
Which is
size
literally,
thing.
that's about 300 pages.
Yes. So I finally get to this halfway point. So I close. I'm like, all right. It's probably. I like to think I'm a fairly fast reader for
Yeah.
comics, especially. I'm like, all right. It's probably 1 o'clock in the morning. It is 3:30 in the morning. I have been reading this book,
Yeah.
sitting in this position for
It's hard to put it
4
down, man.
hours.
It really
reading
is. It
It
was
was
the same way
great.
for me. When I first started reading it, I stayed up until 5 in the morning reading
Yeah.
those comics. And
It was excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I did the same thing with Scott Pilgrim. When I started reading that, I started reading it at 7. I didn't finish till 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
I was just burning through those things.
Yeah.
They're really good.
And even then, I got to the halfway point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I closed and man, I stayed up much longer than I meant to. And then I had that glorious moment of being like, I haven't felt that with a book in a long time.
It is, man.
Yeah.
It's so
Yes.
engrossing. It's incredible.
And literally, the worst part is we can sit here because people do it all the time. People sit around and they're like, "The Walking Dead comic book is so fucking good." And even
Yeah,
now,
it's great.
there's some people who say it peaked with the Governor storyline, but even after that, it's still really good.
And it's
just,
in the middle of another read.
yeah,
right
that's
now.
what I hear. I haven't started reading the current arc yet, but I hear it's fucking
It's
fantastic.
good.
dynamite.
But it's not. It didn't get worse. It just went in a different direction.
Right.
And it's still so good. And we can sit
good.
around
So
and we can
dramatic,
talk about
like
it.
crazy.
Yeah. And we just say it's so good. And people, they're like, okay, yeah, it's good. And it's like, no, you don't understand. You have to read it. I very, very firmly consider this story to be a work of art. From issue 1 to where it is now, it is a work of art.
Yeah.
Robert Kirkman has done something very few people, writers, anybody, could do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just... This is the guy who wrote fucking Battle Pope. It came out of nowhere. He went into
Hold
this
on, hold on,
campy,
hold on.
retarded shit and just...
What is Battle Pope?
Have I not shown you Battle
No.
Pope? Oh my god, I'm going to show it to you. It's so
have
good.
to now.
It's
Anything-
exactly what you think it is.
Yes. Good.
I think the important thing to note is that I would absolutely consider it one of the definitive zombie fictions.
Yeah.
If someone was like, I love zombies, or I think I would love zombies.
Here you go.
Give me 3 things to do.
Mhm.
I'd be like, watch 3 fucking Romero movies.
Yes.
Read Kirkman's The Walking Dead and do some other fucking thing. Probably a video game. You should
Yeah.
probably play
Like The
Zombies
Walking
and
Dead
neighbors.
point and click.
That's...
yeah. The Walking Dead point and click's
That's a
really
good
great.
one.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's good. The Telltale one.
I had the fantastic moment of telling one of my relatives that it was a comic first.
Oh, The Walking
I
Dead?
went to. I've got. She's one. It's my cousin is married to her. Her name's April. She's always fantastic at family
Yeah.
reunions. She's very much that. Hey, let's do something. Let's have fun. Let's
Yeah.
play
Yahtzee.
Let's do
Let's
what.
play spoons, everybody.
She's always up for
Because I want to hate my family.
She always just goes let's do something, let's have fun, here, have a drink, that kind
Yeah.
of person. She's just very bubbly and very fun. And so we're talking about it. She's like, Mitch, do you watch The Walking Dead? And I said, no, I read it. And she goes, what? I'm like, yeah, it's a comic book. And she goes, what? And I'm just like, yeah, it's been a comic several issues before the first episode came out. And she goes, are they anything alike? And I'm like, well, the TV kind of strays off from time to time, but pretty similar. She's like, go on. And
She leans forward and is like, tell me more.
and this is a girl that I guarantee has never read a comic in her life, and suddenly she was like, I want to read this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yes, I'm
So
bringing
good.
my family into the mold. And I don't think she's read it because she has I think they have 3 kids now,
Oh, Jesus.
3 or 4. So
So she has no time.
she's super busy,
Yeah.
but
On like the off chances, I really just want to be like, here you go.
Just
I feel like
standing
The Walking Dead is such a brilliant gateway comic. Like, if you wanted to get someone into comics, it's a great way to start. Because the story is really, really engrossing. And
Yes.
it's like you said, you hadn't felt that way in a book in a long
Yeah.
time. When you read The Walking Dead, it feels like you're reading a book, not that you're reading a big, flashy picture
I
thing.
was very entrenched.
And, you know,
I
part of
was
that might be
very
the fact that Walking Dead doesn't put a ton of emphasis on looking great. It is drawn very well, but it's not flashy.
It's not
you
even
know?
colored.
Yeah, it's
black and white.
black and
yeah.
white. It's very focused
Super
on
gritty.
character and dialogue with a few absolute what the fuck gore moments because Kirkman
Because
likes
it's also
that shit.
zombies. It's not going to be all.
Yeah,
We got them.
but
Freeze
it's-
frame.
The art isn't the big point of emphasis.
Right.
There are never huge blowout panels.
It's
They're
not
like,
big
oh
and
my god, look at how
flashy.
beautiful this page is. It's
Yeah.
you get drawn into the characters and the words, not just the picture. So I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
great gateway comic because it feels like you're reading a book, even though it's got
Oh, yeah.
pictures of people in it.
That also makes it dangerous though, because now I can't read like single issues of it.
Yeah, because you're like,
Definitely.
goddamn,
I
Well-
treat it like Pringles. I'm like, I gotta have at least.
It is. It's so hard, man. Because, like I said, I probably burned through when I first read it. I think they were up to like 95 issues. So I read through like 95 issues in like 2 days.
Oh yeah.
And then from there, I've been
And
following
then you're like,
one issue at a
oh.
time ever since.
Just
And
waiting.
it's so little content comparatively. Like you burn
It
through
really-
so many story arcs, and now you read one issue, which is like 1/5 of an arc. And you're like, oh my god, I need more of this immediately.
feel like you
and it's
like
a
the highway
monthly.
to-
It's a monthly.
Yeah.
You get like 20 pages every 4 weeks. It's
It's just
so
enough
hard.
to really say like, he's here.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's
He's here.
great.
Something,
I mean,
one thing happens.
Yeah.
but it's at the same time, it's also so engrossing that like I've had moments where I'm like, I should just wait for the trade because then I'll get more. I'll get my fill. But then I can't. I'm like, I have to know what's happening.
Gotta
I
get my
need to
fix.
I have to know what Carl's doing.
Because the only thing worse than waiting 1 month for a new issue is waiting half a year for a new trade.
And you're
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
yep, it hurts.
And it's really nice that, like,
do it.
specifically, I've noticed it with Walking Dead. They get those trades out so fast.
They do.
Like,
They do.
it's within a month after that last issue for that story arc comes out, which is nice. But again, that's still 6 months.
Yeah, it is.
Like 5 or 6 months.
It is 6 because they put them out in 6 issues.
Yeah, it's fucking.
blocks.
It's very much the still like, I need my fix. I need my fix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Read it.
exactly.
You're done in like an hour. You're like, oh no,
Well,
I need
now,
it again.
now
The ants are back.
guess I'll read Batman.
Fucking Scott Snyder or whatever.
Guess I'll have something else.
It always bothers
quench
me.
my
that
thirst.
It still happens today, and I have no fucking idea why. But I feel like it's rampant. It's a thing that's rampant in not only informal settings, but also like school settings. We have a tendency to refer back. I mean, we use examples that are very much set, like classical examples. And for example, like English class.
Oh,
You never
yeah.
read like modern books that are exemplary.
Scarlet Letter, Gatsby, Huck Finn.
Exactly, and there's
Yeah.
so much. Like there's modern books that do
Old
that
Man in
same
the
shit
Sea.
just as well. Like if not better, in my opinion. And it's much easier to read them because I know when I was a teenager and I was stuck reading fucking like
The Man in the Sea.
Old Man sees the shit. You not even.
Can we have this conversation?
Yes, we can. In a minute. I love Old Man in the Sea.
Okay. I'm
For
really
very
curious
specific
how
reasons.
and why.
But I like you sit there and you read Scarlet Letter, you read fucking anything written by Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Great
Fucking
Expectations.
boring as tits. What is that?
Great expectations.
Great
I liked
Expectations,
it.
which is
Capturing
so
the
wrong.
I liked it.
Fucking
See, I didn't
Grapes
read
of
those.
Wrath, which I only had to read because I took a novel.
So boring.
I don't like long Steinbeck.
No,
I like a Bison
short.
Man.
Yeah, short
Yeah.
Steinbeck. But Andrew will sit here and suck Steinbeck's dick all day.
If I'm sucking of mice and men's dick, hell
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I will, because that's a fucking brilliant book.
But but I mentioned this because you said that Walking Dead is a gateway comic. I encountered so many times where people fucking reference as like. Anytime I see someone, usually it's on the internet, but they'll be like, "I want to get into comics. What should I read?" People aren't like, "Read Court of Owls" or fucking Walking Dead, anything from Walking Dead, or
By the way, this is real quick while you're talking about that. They've
Yeah.
recently released like a big box thing where you can buy the
It's-
Court of
it's
Owls.
got the-
oh, with the
It has
mask.
the
Yeah,
mask.
they have some at Next Level.
And I looked at it because my girlfriend works at the bookstore on campus now.
Yeah.
And I was just looking
They
at
had
it,
it there?
and her friend is just like, she can get you a discount. And I'm like, I have the book. I just want this.
I just want the mask.
And they're all like, why? I'm like, it's really cool.
I won't even take it out of the box.
You just bought it and given me the book, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably should.
no brainer.
Anyway, so they won't recommend these new modern versions of it, and I really wish they would.
They say like Watchmen, don't they?
No, they say it's always Watchmen.
I mean, I love Watchmen,
Yeah,
but
it's always either Watchmen,
You can't start with
Mouse,
Watchmen.
which is like a World War II story
Yeah.
with like mice
Yeah,
as the main
okay.
character, and
That's a
like the
weird
Nazis
book.
are cats. It's so fucking weird,
Okay.
and it's great. It's by Art Spiegelman. He's really good at what he does.
I've heard
but
the name.
Fucking, it's so dated, and it's about World War II. And God forbid that I offend anybody, but I'm fucking tired of hearing about World War
So
II.
am I.
I have told so many people. I get it. There's so many people dead. It was a
I
horrible
get it.
thing.
Hitler.
I get it. Hitler's terrible.
you remember for like 4 or 5 years there where no
That
one
was
would
it.
stop making World War II video games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that has something to do with the fact that I'm
I
burnt out.
I think
on World
it
War II.
makes our particular demographic really jaded to that because
Yeah.
for years and years and years there was just nothing but World War II shooters. We're like, we fucking get it. Nazis are bad.
Yeah. And
Just
every
because
time.
it's so
Can
easy
we
for a
shoot
bad
something
guy.
else, please? It is. It's
That
such
was
an
Hitler
easy
again for a
bad
long
guy to
time.
use
It's
because
such an incredibly easy
when
bad
you're
guy.
like writing a video game or a movie or a comic or something, and you want a villain that is not sympathetic in the slightest, you're like Nazis. Boom.
Boom.
Well,
No one sympathizes with Nazis because if you sympathize with Nazis, you are a pariah.
Well, they also don't need to
You're
explain
literally
them too
a
much,
Nazi.
too. Like, say they have this whole story based on like these good guy characters, and like we need a bad guy that we don't need to talk about too much.
Yeah, you don't have to flesh out their
Nazis.
backstory. They're just Nazis. You know what
You
Nazis
instantly
are.
know they're bad guys. Yeah, it's,
They're fucking Nazis. Hitler is bad.
we get it.
Anyway, so yeah, it's always like Watchmen, which I have
I don't think that's a.
so many.
I don't think it's a good
qualms
starter.
with.
Comic.
I don't think
it's
that's a
really,
good
it's a
start.
really
That's the
complex
thing, though.
story.
No, everyone says like there's exactly two camps for Watchmen. It's the don't read Watchmen until you read like Silver Age comics, or read Watchmen first before you read anything else. And they're both fucking wrong because Watchmen isn't that good. It was timely, not timeless, and
I get that.
I can't. I know you really like it.
I
but
really like
can't.
it too.
I think it's
but
great.
have a.
There's, anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's Watchmen Mouse. It's like all of these old fucking. When they started reprinting the really old, like original Batman comics that DC's doing, they do the trades of them.
No, I know, and it's
I
good
forget,
that they
I
do.
forget what the run is called, but they were like release them every month.
Yeah.
But when they started releasing those, that was a big thing. Like, oh, go read these because they're the original stories. Fucking
They're
original
not
Batman
that
is
good.
nothing like modern Batman.
Can't
He's
shit.
It's not even that. He's literally he's a detective.
Yeah.
It's
Batman
not
now
that
isn't a detective. He's a superhero. And it's like, he's a racist, well, slightly racist, billionaire playboy detective.
Everyone was racist back then.
Yeah, exactly. And I got the first trade and I read it. I was like, maybe this will be rad. No, it's not rad. It's fucking terrible. The art's terrible. The writing's terrible. It's bad.
I agree.
And there's a reason that there's a reason people stopped reading Batman. He was good for about 10 years. Then they stopped reading him.
And
then,
Frank Miller saved him.
yeah, Frank Miller came in and just boom, fucking nailed it. But then I have qualms with that too.
That's
I'm
fine.
a fucking
I
snob.
adore Dark Knight Returns.
Everybody likes it.
You know, I've never
For
read that.
obvious reasons.
Batman's too like, Miller Batman is always too much of a beef tank for me.
Now, okay, there's a prime example of the beef tank one.
Yeah.
There's a comic, and I bought this mostly because I adore the artist Jim Lee.
Yeah. He's fantastic.
He's a great artist.
Yeah.
That, and there's a beautiful 7-page spread in the comic. There's a trade called All-Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder.
Oh, God.
The fact that The Boy Wonder is part of the title instantly makes you go, ugh. Very, very pretty. It's Frank Miller's take on Dick Grayson becoming Robin.
Okay.
This is the comic that is well known for the fact that this is a quote from Batman. I'm the goddamn Batman.
Yeah.
I can call my goddamn car whatever the goddamn hell I want to call it. That's a quote.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's very beef tank. It's very what are you doing? It's very much like that.
Yeah.
But the coolest part is, again, you just read. I read it and I own it primarily for the art. There's this really cool 7-page freaking spread
Yeah.
of just the entire Batmobile. Or not the Batmobile, sorry, the Batcave.
Yeah.
And in it you see
everything.
everything. And the description's great. I
Yeah.
think he can write like inner monologue really, really well.
Yeah.
It's really tough to talk while all this activity
No,
is
it's
going
okay.
But
But ladies
it's-
and gentlemen at home,
yes.
you have no fuck you. You don't get the chair. Guests get the chair. You're a friend. Here, let's. Actually, yeah, fuck it. You
Just
can
do the goddamn
sit
cooler.
over here, right there.
Everybody, we have a special guest here.
Hey!
As special as it can get, I suppose. A
Pretty damn
friend of the people who make this show, who I don't think actually you two have ever known. This is Tess.
Hi.
We have. Do you want me to say your last name?
No.
Okay, this is Caitlin. Caitlin is a
You
friend.
know one of us is going to slip up and say it.
Oh yeah,
Right?
we've already done with Justin. Especially me, because I always say your full name when I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
She's a friend of mine, Andrew, and Mitch's. That's Brandon, by the way. You two have met before. You met at Susie's birthday thing.
Oh, yeah.
She was Caitlin is the girl who, I guess we didn't really talk about it, but she
She's
was
the girl next door.
our backup guest for tonight because our original guest bailed. We just had to wait for her to get off work.
How
Caitlin,
was work?
introduce your, how was work? You,
Well, I wasn't drunk because that's
Oh.
also my job. is.
probably the best way to. God damn.
What a great start.
I've seen her do it so many times, I'm not even surprised
You just
anymore.
like sounds about
So
right.
it's a little more extreme.
You're just like
Built
shitty
it up,
drunk.
and now I've got a
Did
little
you
bit
get
harder.
fired?
No.
Oh, okay.
You can't fire her. Look at her. She's so lovable.
She
I
is.
don't
She's
fuck
like
up a lot
5
of
foot
theories,
tall with like
so.
curly hair. She's literally like. Anytime someone asks me what adorable is, I'm like, well, it's kind of like Caitlin Lova.
You slipped.
I'll bleep it out.
No, you won't.
You're right, I won't. No one fucking listens to this podcast anyway. You're gonna be fine.
We're sorry,
So-
we love
so
you.
uninspiring.
It's come on.
I listened to this.
Our moms listen to this.
I still
That's
enjoy
scary.
Shout out to
My mom
our
did.
moms
that. Shout out to Jake's mom.
who still
So,
apparently listen.
Caitlin,
Anyway, yeah.
I'm still
hi.
playing
Welcome to the
So,
show.
and introduce yourself to the wonderful people at home. And Brandon and Tess.
We sat her next to the two people she doesn't know.
It's fine. It's fine.
She's drunk. I don't want her near me.
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
I'm Caitlin. I live across the courtyard from Andrew.
She does, yeah. She literally lives like
All I
a
got.
30-second walk away.
We went to high school together and
We did.
cherished every second of it.
Did I sit behind you or next to you? I sat next to her in Latin for 2
You
years.
sat next to me.
Oh yeah, and
I
that's
never
right.
did.
Yeah, we were in Latin class for like the first year we were in there together, and we didn't realize that we were friends with the exact same people till like the end of the year.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
It was the biggest like I'm a fucking idiot moment in my entire life because she would always hang out with Claire, and I didn't know that because I didn't hang out with Claire. I hung out with Andrew and Ian and
Who also hung out with Claire.
yeah, who also sometimes hung out with Claire, but like never with me.
Yeah.
So
So there was
Yeah.
this great moment where we were all calling / texting you.
Yeah.
oh yeah, before we did
And
the
I-
last episode.
While you were at work and drunk.
I kept on looking at my phone going, I know I have to have your number, or at least an old number, and I couldn't find anything under the name Caitlin. You're still under my phone as Poofs. And I went, oh yeah!
That's right. It's okay. I think your last name is all capital and mine.
That sounds...
Well, it's the I'll bleep that out too.
No, you won't.
You're right. No, I will. This one I actually will because you
Okay.
actually have a job
Yeah, I
that's
do,
like
actually.
pertinent to.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's like a 2-second beep that you can just put in. It's not a big
We
deal.
could speed it up so it's
So-
like...
Yeah. So okay, what were we talking about before? We
Oh,
started
it's okay, I was
rudely
pretty much-
interrupted by
We
our
were talking
radio
about
guest.
comics, but
Yeah.
considering
You actually
we
like.
pulled a guest up from the bullpen
kinda
here,
been
we should
ranting about it
probably
for a while, too.
get on her
Yeah,
level
you
with something.
came in like at a really weird moment because we were having a really deep podcast.
Oh, God,
Well,
sorry.
it's deep.
Carry on.
Yeah.
carry on.
It was
It was
much.
about Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
The part
and
you
Walking
came in
Dead.
about was about Batman.
And Frank Miller.
The rest of it
Hold
was
on,
very
before
touching.
we get away from Batman, can we all just agree that the Killing Joke is awesome? Like, right?
It's all right.
Right.
I really liked it.
Thank you. All right.
I'd like for them to make a paperback version of it, because I'm...
That'd be nice to have an affordable version of that.
Yes!
Even the paperback would be inflated prices though, because people will buy the shit out of that.
'Cause it's
Don't
like-
tell them that; they won't.
Because it's
I
like
want
the
it.
most glorious book in the Batman
I
canon.
want it.
It's all right.
Well, no, I'm not even saying like, in my opinion, it's the most glorious book. I'm just saying, like, of all Batman books, it is the most revered. It seems.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's
That's right.
like the
It's
king
either
of
that
Batman
or
universe.
the Long
Year
Halloween,
one.
Yeah,
or Year One. So
Any of
those are like the big three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, fairly respected.
So yeah, let's get on a lever.
Lever.
I'm not even drunk anymore.
Taylor, I got a question. What kind of job do you do? You got off work kind of late.
I work in a
I
magical
never-
pizza emporium.
She's my pizza bro.
Magical
Yeah.
Pizza Emporium.
We both work in the
I
Lumber
get
Pizza.
get fired now, yeah. Yeah, just a local pizza joint. I work on the inside.
Local.
You don't deliver though, thankfully. So you
No.
don't go into work drunk and then drive.
No.
It also
I
means
just
she's got
make
the
it
shitty
so
half of the pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
The-
delivery is a joy. Working on the inside is hell.
Yeah, it's true.
I can't imagine working. I just want a different job.
Me too.
Same.
Please, God.
Did I
Just-
tell you about
I
my
will take your
job?
job if you quit.
What?
It's better than my job.
I'm pretty happy with my job.
Ted's
Yeah,
pretty okay. with
I'm
that.
content with my current position.
Where do you work?
You guys are
I
motherfuckers.
have two.
Dude, I made
jobs.
so much money this weekend.
Oh, but I hate
I-
you.
One is a bowling alley. The other one is a breakfast.
Which bowling alley do you work at?
It's Battlefield Lanes.
Oh, dude, I love
The one up there by the bank.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the bank's
I
less.
And
I haven't gone bowling in so
My
long.
dad used to work there.
What?
He was a bouncer when they had a club in the basement.
Yes, they did have a club in the
I was
basement.
about to say, why did
Yes.
a bowling alley have a
Your dad would
Well,
be such a
but-
good bouncer, but he would be like
The-
a
the
cute
bowling
northern
alley where
accent.
we come
You have to
from
get
has
on
a
out
little-
now.
He's
Club
kind of
thing
smaller
now.
than me, only by a
The,
little bit.
the retro
so-
bowl?
But no,
Oh,
but he's
yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's got...
he's
Did
built
they
like a
really
football
change
player.
part of that, like
Well,
art
yeah.
gallery to a club?
Yeah. But I could just hear him in his northern accent say
I like
like, "You gotta
that
get out
theory,
now."
man.
You know, I can just hear him say that. You know, you can't be causing trouble now.
He's pretty good here. He says he slips into the northern about as much as I do. The worst
Okay.
work with him is
I always found that your
So-
mom picked up more than like your mom had more of a northern accent than your
It's,
dad, which is funny.
See again though, you've only seen us in like Missouri.
True.
You get us to Wisconsin, me and my dad can't
It
slip
just
out of it.
yeah, right.
So like it's bad because we know it, but we can't stop it. And we get back and like after a day, we're like, all right, we're back to regular
Yeah,
talking as opposed to we're back to regular talking.
tackle. Yeah.
We're all over the fucking map right now.
We really are. We need to
Yeah.
fucking.
We need to channel something. We need to get a dialogue going.
Yeah.
Caitlin.
I got distracted with the jobs and we got distracted.
Tell
Oh,
way to
sorry.
turn off your.
Check out the fucking amateur hour over here.
I'm sorry.
I was literally okay. You
Thursday,
said
okay.
amateur hour. I was on my way home from work. I was thinking, I was like, I have to come up with something funny to say about Ian not being on this week and Brandon not being on last week. And I was like, oh, I'll just say something about it being fucking amateur hour on work in progress. And you motherfucker,
You
just
had your fucking
read my
chance.
fucking mind and
We've been,
took it.
We've been recording for like an hour and a half.
That's fair. That's
had your chance.
That's true. Okay, so Caitlin, first of all, turn off your goddamn phone.
I did.
I'm never inviting you back on this podcast.
What's going on in your life?
Yeah, tell us stories
We just got internet in our apartment, so
after 2.5
emerging out of the
months.
cave.
Welcome out of the Stone Age.
Oh, have you even had a chance to listen to the podcast yet?
No.
What the? God damn it! All right,
I'm
well,
sorry.
I need to give you a new link. Though,
Wait, that's
because
what we're
you- Well, no,
recording?
you can still find it
Yeah,
on
shit,
there.
what is this?
Why are we here?
Oh,
I forgot. I didn't realize people.
By the way, Jake, my check hasn't showed up yet. When do I get that?
Half past. Fuck you.
All right, I'm looking for.
Actually, no. One of the end goals of this is to actually pay you, motherfuckers. Because I was the whole shtick.
Are we getting back pay when we finally get paid?
You should reel it in, Mitch.
Dial back. A little too excited.
No, you're not getting back pay.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
That's fair.
No, whenever I fucking had the idea for this shit, famously it was to kick my ass into gear and do something with my life.
How's
That one.
Actually, pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I've
been helping actually.
Well, I mean, it's kicked my
It's-
ass
yeah,
into gear.
yeah,
a bit,
Yeah,
so
at the very least, it's helped you two and him. So
we're
like,
kicking ass.
Yeah, I'm really actually, if anything, Ian's the one who's just kind of not doing much.
Ian's impossible to motivate.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm waiting on
He's-
that movie.
The movie.
Ian's.
Oh, the rake. We all
Oh,
are.
Oscar
Right.
Gorge, yeah.
Yeah, Oscar.
Oh,
We
yeah,
all like
that'll
that.
happen in approximately 12,000 years.
Not true. Make it happen.
I'm looking forward to it.
We
You
wanna
better
work-
do it.
Yeah. Anyway, so the secret motive that I didn't want to admit to anybody until now because it's a very lofty goal, but I am actually basing my entire fucking future career around this because I was going to use this as a launching
Wow, no
off point.
pressure, guys.
for-
God.
yeah, not you. You're a 1 week guest.
No,
Bye.
I'm just saying. Like,
And it had nothing to do with you guys. You guys were here to
I'm pretty proud that I can throw this on my resume.
Yeah, exactly.
To tell
Yeah.
the truth.
I mean, and like we talk about some
I wish I swore less.
something everyone's super paranoid about. No, but it's
My
like
future employers will be listening to this.
I-
Like, this guy.
You just look at him and go, "This was a character." This was a characterized.
I'm
Actually,
developing a persona.
That's actually entirely fair. I feel like we're kind of the same, but I feel like we're all also a little bit more.
Well, we have to talk a bit more because it's a podcast.
Well, to be fair, I dial it back in my workplace. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, same
if,
here.
if I'm like trying to get a job at like a big fancy media production company or whatever, and I'm like, you should listen to this, but just know I'm way more professional than I know, because this is a very casual sit down and have a dialogue podcast.
You said it best when you called it commute humor.
Yeah, but in my environment at work, like I've never ever sworn in front of like a customer at Pizza Hut or any of my other jobs. I'll sometimes swear when we're alone in the store with a couple employees and we're just again having a little dialogue. But like I'm very professional in my job, so it's like I don't worry about that stuff.
Pretty good damage control there.
I know. I'm feeling really good about it. I've actually always been really impressed with the way I can rein myself in because again I swear all the fucking time.
For example, it's
And when I first got my job at Worlds of Fun when I was like 17,
God.
I was
Sit in
like,
the fucking seat.
how am I?
To yourself, goddamn.
How am I going to stop myself from swearing in front of people?
this is going to be hard.
I'm surprisingly adept at it. I don't know how I do it.
Not to mention it's like balls hot out there anyway.
Oh God.
Yeah, it'd be so easy to swear out there.
I get agitated just writing the
Lava
words.
did-
Not even like,
I got
I said
agitated
again,
every
I
minute
did that
of my life out there. That was the worst thing I've ever done with my life.
It wasn't fun.
No. Okay. Never mind.
I totally understand because, like, you know, I had a bit of a potty mouth too because there's something about when
A bit.
a bit. Well, I mean, like when you're at the skinny, you know, and of course the whole rule is like clean comedy. You want to swear as much as you can. And then I started working at a Pizza Hut call center over the summer, and they don't have any rules at that place except for one. There's like one rule, which is if you swear on the phones, you automatically get fired.
whoa.
And it's tough because the computers are from the 80s, so they crash incessantly. And you have customers who are difficult. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure as, you know...
Well, and everyone at the stores hates you too.
Exactly.
We swear about the call center.
Right. Well, I mean, the problem is, like, they get new, like, I mean, when I worked there, they had at least 2 training sessions, like, in the, 8 weeks I worked there? Like, right before I started working at the bowling alley, they had at least 3 sessions if you count mine again, like, because when I started working there again, so it was like 2 more sessions. I mean, they're getting new people every time. The high turnover rate's insane. But I remember being like, nothing made me want to swear more than being on the phone and like a customer yelling at me because they didn't get enough pepperonis on their pizza or whatever. And I mean, but it really, like, it's amazing when you go, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, how can I correct myself? And then you find a way to do it, and you're like, I'm a rock star. I am a god.
I deserve $12 an hour for
Yes,
this.
I deserve so much more than what I'm getting.
I still remember that like period in my life when I like finally like swore aloud, and I was like, nothing bad happened. Like
I'm not going to
lightning
kill
didn't
right
just strike me down. My grandparents didn't come rushing in from the other room, being like, Andrew, what the hell was that? Like I can actually say this shit and get away with it, and that's exciting. So like. That must have happened when I was like 12 or 13. I'm here 10 years later, and I still fucking love it.
That's really though because we're all basically man children.
Yeah, I worry that I'm never going to outgrow it because, frankly, my mom still swears pretty regularly. Like, she's always tried to hide it around me, but she still does it, you know, from time to time. And I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to outgrow that. I think I'm going to be like a potty mouth until the day I die. What is this shit, man? Fucking vibration on the table.
I don't know what you're talking about. Kid Lava, turn your phone off. I'll leave it out
So
again.
you guys were talking about
I really shouldn't have had you on this because it's not even like me
just
doing it on
describing
purpose.
it.
I just always say her full name
That's fine. It's
every
fine.
time.
Well, it's probably because we know 2 Caitlins.
Well, and it's not even just her. I do it with.
No, everybody either calls me Lava, whatever, it's out. It's out, okay?
You've got just such a fantastic name.
You do.
it's because it sounds so familiar of like the
Yeah.
Arrested Development.
Yeah.
character.
There's nothing fantastic about my name, which is why no one ever calls me that.
Andrew, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm just kidding.
Hart, my last name. That's right. I am Frank. Because I've never done anything but praise my employer on this
Andrew
show.
listens
So you guys were talking about how sometimes it's just impossible not to swear.
Yeah.
So I was subbing today. Again, I'm bringing this up.
That must be another job where it's kind of tough to rein that in. Not
Occasionally
fucking
there are.
kids.
So I was teaching. It was kind of an emergency thing because I was checking the website, and the only jobs that were coming up were elementary. And based off of what happened last Friday, I was like, I'm done. I am
not
done
doing
with
this.
elementary. Never again. And
Wait, I don't think I know what happened.
oh, I had to teach gym
That's
from
funny.
kindergarten to 5th grade.
Oh man.
I didn't have much of a voice by the time I was done with school.
Oh,
Did they at
man.
least have the courtesy to give you a whistle?
No!
I had to bring my own.
They didn't have the courtesy to give me a lot of
And all I had was a duck call.
Which they all laughed at me for.
Those motherfuckers.
Everyone reined it in.
So anyway, I woke up at the time and I'm checking the website, which basically gives us our call. It's all elementary, and I'm like, nope. So finally, I end up just passing back out, going, all right, I guess it's just a day where I'm not gonna sub. That's fine.
Yeah.
I could use an actual sleep as it is anyway.
One day a week where you don't sub is,
Right. So, but then I get called every now and then by the automated service, which I have issues with, but whatever. So I don't answer it. I just go straight to the website, and it says, "Oh, an emergency job has opened up. Can you teach half a day at one of the high schools?" I was like, "Yes, I can at least do that." So I go in, and I'm teaching 2 health classes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "All right, whatever." Because most of the time they call me in, it's basically like, "Look, they kind of know what we're doing." He gave me the lowdown. He's like, "Look, I have a problem with my eye. It's kind of an emergency." He had apparently gotten bullwhipped in one of his eyes as a kid, and it just randomly started bleeding. So
something happened.
Yeah, so something happened, and he's like, it's an emergency. I need to go. But he was still there, so he could be like, "Look, this is what we're doing."
Yeah. Did he have an eye patch on?
No.
Aw, damn.
And he just
What
goes,
we're doing. Oh.
he goes, "Your next class will be angels. This one you should be fine, but here are the office referral forms if you need them."
I've always loved the idea of I've never been a teacher, obviously, so I don't actually know, but I always like to think that the teachers go into the lounge afterwards and bitch about their tough classes. Yeah.
There's this great moment that I've learned where in whenever you're in the teachers only room or the common room or whatever, we're all just like, "All right, I have this person coming to my class. Does anyone know about them?" "Yeah, he's a dick." We're allowed to say it in there. We're allowed to say it in there.
I got a text from Chris earlier today, in fact, because he just listened to, I think it was episode 7 or episode 8, whichever one we were talking about liverwurst on. And the text, it's funny because the text he sent me, out of the blue, I was at work, and he was like, "Fuck you, man, liverwurst is the best." And I was like, "Chris, this just proves that you're secretly 80 years old. I don't understand." Yeah, and so, so he started texting me, so obviously we just started chatting because we hadn't caught up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how in one of his classes, it's his stage tech class or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh man, I can't," because I said, "Chris, you should be on a show." And he's like, "Well, I don't know if I'll be able to do it on winter break because it's kind of short, but maybe on summer break." And he was like, "And man, I cannot wait for winter break." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because my stage tech class sucks." Like, well, why does it suck? Because I've never really heard him complain about kids.
Yeah.
He's usually pretty good. He's like, "Well, they're kind of bad, but whatever."
Yeah.
No, he straight up went, "My stage tech class is full of a bunch of pricks." And he apparently had to write 5 or 6 office referrals for one day.
Yeah.
And it was just fucking sent all their asses to the principal.
Last one of you,
Get out.
get the fuck out.
Just sits in a quiet class.
Exactly. Oh, yes.
Perfect.
I can't imagine who Chris doing. Chris would sit there for about 30 seconds and be like, "All right, I have to do something."
Yeah.
He couldn't just sit there.
So it's health class, and they all come in, and he just goes, "All right, you guys are," he kind of fills them in and takes attendance, and he just goes, "Watch this guy."
To point out the side of his
He
I know you did it
took
really
me,
subtly, behind his hand.
except with his middle finger.
he took me outside the classroom. He goes, "Watch out for the guy that I was just talking to." I'm like, "Okay," and he just goes again.
Teacher
It
code.
should be fine,
Yeah.
but here you go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right.
8 slips.
So this kid is the whole time. It's very simple. They have a reading assignment, fill out some questions, and then I'm going to put on a movie once most of them are done.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Shouldn't be that hard. This kid does not shut up. He keeps talking just to be heard, just to be annoying. He's doing everything just to get on my nerves, and I just keep on hearing in my head, "You little prick! You little bastard! Stop!"
Shut the fuck up.
And so finally he turns. He finally kind of shuts up, turns in his thing. He's like, "Can I go talk to?" He's like looking for any reason to leave the class. He's like, "Can I go to this guy's room to see if I have any work. And
Be
in my
like-
head, I'm just going, yeah.
Get out.
And I started like thinking about it like reasonably. I'm like, well, he did turn in his, the assignment.
And all they're doing is watching a show. or
Fine.
movie, so.
Plus, then I won't have to deal with him. So I
Yeah.
signed this thing out, and he left, and I'm just like, good.
Ah, yes.
Now there's only 2 left. We're just talking.
Now,
about
how to get rid of
that we're
that?
not doing anything. So
You
finally,
with the nose.
finally, most of the class ends, and I'm just, or like, gives me their assignments. I'm like, all right, because most of you turn this in, I'm gonna put on the movie, and I'm like, look, this may not be where you left off yesterday or wherever. Your teacher told me to start here.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. So I turn it on. It's Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, whatever,
I
sure.
love that movie.
So
Red.
the best part was they all naturally shut up
Because it's a great
because
movie.
it's a movie. If they're not watching it, they're like their heads down on their table, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fine. Finally, the kid comes back in the room, the little bastard, and I'm just like,
Oh, darn, he's alive.
Damn it. Didn't get
I
killed by
thought
alligators.
that meant he was going to stay there. And he just comes in, goes right to a seat that isn't his, and I'm just going, don't get on my nerves. And he sits down and he just watches it. He was like open-jawed for half of it, which I thought was odd.
This movie's so beautiful.
But the whole time I'm
Space
watching
truck.
it, the whole time he's watching it, I look around the class and they're all just kind of just watching it. Like some really into it, others just kind of like just
Because
it's something
it's
to
a
do.
great
And I'm just
movie.
like, good, they've all stopped talking. Perfect.
Yes.
And then like the class ended and we had lunch in between, and I get a call. And normally as a sub, I'm not used to being called too often.
Yeah.
So I pick it up and they're like, "Hi, is this the class?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And it turned out it was him, like from
From-
the hospital,
Okay.
like the teacher, and he just goes, "How did it go?" I was like, "Actually went fairly well. A lot of them turned in their assignments. There's probably a couple that didn't." And he's like, "You probably know which ones didn't." And he's like, "Yep." And I'm just like, "But yeah, honestly, it didn't work." He's like, "You didn't have to send any to the office?" And I said, "Yeah, no one had to go to the office." And he just goes, "Well, I'm glad to hear that." I'm like, "You doing all right over there?" He's like, "As good as I can be." He was very much like the grumpy old man, but when
Yeah.
he was talking to me one-on-one, he was like, "Look, this is the bullshit that's my class."
Yeah, exactly.
And I loved it. And then class, do this. And so I'm talking to him. He's like, "All right, I'm glad it worked out well. I'll talk to you later. Bye." So that was my. Again, though, every time the kid said anything, I just wanted to be like,
No.
"Stop."
Sometimes it happens where you're just like someone's talking and you're like, shut up. Like that happens to me
Yeah.
with customers at one of my jobs. I'm not going to say which because
Sure.
Because I have multiple. Because
Well,
I'm so good at getting jobs, apparently.
Yeah.
it's who you know.
I mean, look at that. How can you not hire her? She's so much more likable.
I have applied to so many
she's a
goddamn
cool sweater.
places.
Yeah, cool sweater.
Also, fuck you. I host a
Yes.
podcast. I'm adorable.
I think honestly, if you really want
Did
a
you
nice
not
job,
hear his kitty story?
Yeah.
He's adorable.
That was adorable. Honestly, like the best advice I can give for anyone who's looking for a job is to ask your friends because like that's
They'll know.
the
I got all my jobs through friends.
Right.
I almost got a
mean-
job out in Idaho thanks to Chris.
yeah.
Just don't do it.
Don't move
I
there.
I don't
It's
care.
beautiful out there, but just don't.
It'll
do
be
it.
paying me more than I
Full
make
of
now.
potatoes. Anyway, continue your.
Yeah. Oh no,
Sorry.
that was just the end of that. It's just ask friends. I mean, that's how I got my second job, and I'm actually really happy with it. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was because of friendship.
I
Friendship.
unfortunately don't really have any hookups for you.
No, that's okay.
I don't know.
I've
We're
kind
not
of
hiring
resigned
at my
myself.
store, and even if we were, I wouldn't tell you.
Well,
You
actually-
just
Maybe
steal
you're
my
hiring
deliveries.
That's fair.
outsiders
That's- I don't
at
care.
my pizza emporium.
No. This actually ties
I
really.
love that you keep calling it that.
I just don't want to say
Welcome to
it.
Pizza Emporium Inc.
It
We're
ties
gonna talk
back.
about all the things I've done.
We
I mean,
serve
don't
a
wanna
pizza-esque
say it.
substance.
We do have a place here called the Incredible Pizza Factory. So,
Which is not the one that she
or is it
likes.
company?
No.
What is
No,
that?
it's Incredible Pizza Factory.
Is it factory?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They go.
The company that runs it is probably
I have
Incredible
not.
Pizza.
Many years
No.
ago. Didn't we always say we were going to go there one of these days and we never did? We need to fucking do
It's
that.
not
Yeah.
that cool.
No, it's so cool.
No, it's not.
I've seen its inside.
I
Its
have
full
too.
majesty.
It's not that good.
Plus, I have
Okay.
a kid who works there.
Wait.
I can
about
bug
Jake?
her the entire time.
What if you were drunk?
I don't think they'd let me in there if I was.
Don't get so drunk. Don't
Don't get
icon drunk.
Andrew, I don't. Oh God, Jay, we. No, Andrew, you don't. I don't have 4 gears. I have sober, pretty
And
drunk,
not.
and then like caribou
Holy
Lou.
Did you do like
Where I'm just
4
on my
double
bed.
shots of whiskey?
And he has
Is
like
that-
opposite.
No, I remember
Caleb,
the
do
icon.
we
night.
want to tell this story?
You know,
got
no,
time.
I don't.
What time?
Whatever.
It's It's pretty fucking majestic.
Okay, do that, and then I'm gonna go back to the thought I was talking about like 25 fucking minutes ago that we
just
got
skip
derailed
it.
talking about fucking school.
I'm not going to go into incredible detail for it, but one night Caitlin and I went to a club, and she.
That already in itself was a bad.
It wasn't just those two though. It was like a
You're
bunch
not-
of
It was us.
because I'm pretty sure I was
But
there.
I was kind of like I was her most direct chaperone, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
Her handler.
I was the one who was holding you upright
My
as we went in the
guardian.
door. So
And I somehow got it. I don't know.
yeah, basically before going, I pre-gamed a little. She pre-gamed a lot. Well, was it
very
5
short-
shots of whiskey?
In like 10 minutes, yeah.
5 shots of whiskey 10 minutes before we left. We get there and we're in line to get inside, and she is losing it fast. Like I'm watching her deteriorate before my eyes. Like the wind is just blowing her away. It becomes increasingly clear to me as we get closer to the door that they're in no way going to let this girl into the club.
Their mistake.
So I'm getting real close to her, and I'm like wrapping my arm around her. I'm like, you need to stay as
Get your
upright as
shit
you can.
together.
You need to be completely
Don't
sober
talk,
for
give
just
your ID.
30 seconds. Like, you gotta stay with me here, kid. Somehow, by the grace of God, she got inside this club, and then I fucking lost her. She like went to the bathroom
And started
and
throwing up
and,
because it
yeah,
was just so gross.
started throwing up like crazy, I guess. And I
And
didn't
I guess
fucking
someone told the
see her
bodyguard
again.
because as soon as I left the bathroom, some guy
He was like,
escorted me
"Hey."
out.
Then she was promptly escorted out, and one of our friends, I think, gave her a ride
Like
after
two,
you.
no, it was like 2 hours later.
Yeah, well, after you sat
Sitting
outside for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like
After
2
you
hours later.
cooled down.
No, not even then. I don't even remember sitting outside for 2 hours, but no one said it was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Christ.
So, yeah.
It's okay.
Basically, the
So thanks for broadcasting,
the absolute
asshole.
high point of drunkenness that I've ever seen is her at that club that night, and the club was called Icon, so we refer to it as
It's
Icon.
okay, it's
Drunk.
closed now.
Yeah, it's not even that anymore. So
Yeah.
it was called Icon, and so Icon Drunk is the peak of drunkenness that I've ever seen.
That's her
This
level.
from a guy who roomed with Justin for 2 years. So
It was a learning
Caitlin,
experience.
if it's any consolation, I too have a night where I sat down for an unspecified length of time that I thought was like 30 seconds and ended up being like 25 minutes.
No, I believe it.
Yeah. I probably spilled water on myself too. I don't remember that. Like Chris got me water and I was like, oh thanks.
Was it when you were living
All
in
down my
Madison?
front. What?
Was it when you were living in Madison?
It was the Caribou night.
I
It was like, it was the moment where I sat down in our kitchen against the wall. And I was like, I'm gonna sit here for a minute, and then I'm gonna go to the bathroom because I knew I had to throw up, but I was like, I'm gonna wait till it's not like about to come out to go to the bathroom. So I like sat down on the ground, and Chris was like, "Here you go, buddy." Like as soon as I sat down, I was like, "Thanks," and I took a drink, spilled half of it on me, put it down, and closed my eyes. And then the next thing I know, Chris is like, "All right, buddy, let's get you up." And I was like, "What are you?" I just said. I was like, "No, it's been 25 minutes." I was like,
no, it hasn't.
Then I spent 3 hours in the bathroom. So,
Drunk time.
no. Okay, so going back to what I was talking about before, it's I guess it was like 30 minutes ago now. Right before we start talking about Mitch's teaching stories, the secret motive behind this show was that I realized long ago that I can't get a job doing jack fucking shit that's gonna make me happy because I'm not a person who's built to work just a job.
Right.
I do it because I need to pay bills, and that's literally
That's why most
it.
people.
So I decided that, you know, if fucking jack-offs in their basement can make CGI videos and make like tens of millions of dollars and get fucking Hollywood jobs off that, I can probably do something that gets me at least a living wage.
Mm-hmm.
So I gathered up you guys. I was like, guys, let's make a podcast.
You
and
heard it
this,
in here.
This is literally the jumping off point for like 4 other different things I wanted to be, and not even the books. The books are a hobby. I don't give a fuck about
sure,
that.
yeah.
But the podcast was always meant to make money, not to go into my pocket, but to fund the other ventures that I have,
That'd be cool, yeah.
that I want to do.
We are all pawns in your elaborate plan.
You are, but you're very,
Or
very
are
good
we?
pawns, and it
You're
wasn't
very good pawns.
and it wasn't just about me because I know that Mitch enjoys teaching. He does that,
Yeah.
but I know that he's also really big into theater, and that's a hard thing to get into. Andrew, you've always seemed to me like a person who like knew what he wanted to do, but he wasn't really that into it. Whether or not that's true or not. Brandon, I knew, was just sitting on his ass, just killing time, coding for fun.
Well, I know you meant it was when you mentioned this that I never really thought about it. You're just like, well, Ian and I guess is
been our main movie guy, or at least talking about it. And then I know we all like dabble in these
Yeah.
other areas, but then you're like, you do music and I do theater and you do computers and stuff like that. But it was one of those moments like when you pointed it out like that, I went, I never thought of that like that. And I thought it was kind of bizarre, but that's also really cool.
We're so multi-talented.
Yeah. So the end goal was foremost, I guess, to bring me to this kind of place where I could actually do the shit I wanted to do, which is dick around, talk to my friends, fucking be an asshole and whatever.
It's nice
but I wanted to bring you all
we
along
don't get to dick
with
around
me.
with each other as often as we used to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to go alone. I wanted to bring people with me. So I'm glad that, and it's actually it's really nice because I legit expected this. Brandon might remember it, but before it even started, like 2 weeks before, I told him. He was the very first person I told because it just came up at work. I expected this to go about 3 episodes because I knew we have the worst goddamn time sticking to schedules. All of us.
Yeah.
Like every time we start D&D, it goes about 5 games and then we just fucking stop.
Yeah.
And so I told Brandon, I was like, no, I'm going to do this right. I'm going to set a day. I'm going to find a day. Everyone's always fucking free, and I'm going to make people show up. I'm going to make, because the instant we call it off, that first time, it's going to ruin it.
That's going to screw it up.
And I'm really, I'm genuinely glad that we've gone more, at least 3 times as long as I wanted to. Even if it's only 12 fucking episodes, it doesn't matter. Because
Still longer than our last podcast.
Exactly. and I really, it's going to happen soon. I'm going to start doing one of the things I wanted to do very soon because I've got a little bit of money coming my way, which is what I needed. But before I do that, I need to do a couple more things with the podcast, which is primarily get us up to, good quality. So more than a Rock Band microphone and a laptop in a basement.
Fair enough.
Rock band microphone.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Nice.
Actually, I believe it's a guitar.
It
hero.
is.
Oh, my mistake. Guitar Hero.
Guitar
So
Hero.
yeah, those sweet sounds are coming to you from this one microphone in this fucking basement.
Hey, for my second episode for my podcast, I used my iPod to record it, and it was, wasn't I recorded? Yeah,
Ow.
voice memo.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Damn.
It was, it wasn't great, but it
worked.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah. So, hey,
But
you gotta work with what you get.
Yeah, exactly.
You get whatever.
And I
I'm
guess
an English major, if you didn't know that.
I'm the best at talking.
So. Yeah.
And Ian's not here, so it kind of kills it a little bit. But I really wanted to. I wanted to thank you guys.
Let's be honest. I mean, if we knew that one of us was going to flake out at some point, wouldn't Ian have always been our first guest?
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
We still love you, buddy.
We love you.
I love this.
She's on damage control.
I mean, Ian's my best friend. He's been my best friend for a long time. He'll be my best friend for years and years and years to come. And that's not to say that I don't love you guys. And Justin, I know you're listening. I love you too, buddy.
Wherever you are.
Ian has been my best friend for a long time. He'll probably be my best friend till the end of time. But the man has his flaws.
Yeah.
He knows them
we
as
all
well as
do.
I do. He's okay with me pointing them out for the most part. But yeah, we're all deeply flawed.
We
somewhere.
miss you wherever you are, Ian.
Yeah,
really
what did
do.
happen to you?
Never mind.
I'm also totally okay saying this because I know the fucker doesn't listen to these. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's be real. Most of us don't. Ian, as I said in the last episode, died of a horrible, just
A tiger
terrible
bee disease.
botched hysterectomy because he got an infected vagina from the tampon he had stuck up in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So I've just noticed this. You mentioned how you want to always
So-
compare it to amateur hour. I think every single excuse you've made is comparing him to being a woman.
I do the same thing with Brandon.
He did.
This is true.
And I fully
I
expect every time one of you motherfuckers doesn't show up, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make fun of you and call you vaginas, and I expect the same fucking treatment if I miss out.
We were waiting for
Yeah.
it.
I'm
Literally-
trying to fathom a world where I somehow don't show up for this because it's not
Yeah.
like I have
Yeah, exactly.
Same here, yeah.
Well, and it was I figured it was gonna happen tonight because I thought it was gonna be late, so I told Brandon to tell you guys that.
We heard it.
Yeah.
That's-
We were kind of
yeah.
excited.
I was-
I was
by that.
fully
That made-
prepared to
okay.
start the show without you
Yeah.
and have like an obituary ready. I was gonna
Yeah, he died.
I have really bad news.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense now because when Brandon was telling me that I was you and
Yeah.
Ian, I was like, well, I understand Ian, but why am I also Jake? Why am I the one running this?
I didn't tell you to tell her she was gonna be Ian too. Just
No, I told her she was.
Oh, okay. all right.
Zane's not here, so
Yeah.
she was our
So
replacement.
I was just really confused. I was like, why am I the one?
I was getting ready to do my
And
impression
the
the
guest,
whole
yeah.
time.
Of being me or Ian?
Both of you.
Both of me.
That would've been funny
What's
just
your
blending
impression
the
of me,
two.
Mitch? I want to hear your impression of me.
It's just kind of like talking like you just were. You know?
That's why we need Chris.
And then
here just for
occasionally
questions.
you get
Loud.
Loud. You can't fly him in.
That's okay, I
That was
did
so
He
fun.
said he wants. We might actually end up doing with him what we're gonna do with
Yeah.
Oh, the
our
Skype
bigger
guy?
name.
I'm really excited for
Yeah.
that one.
which is going to happen hopefully in like 3 weeks.
Cool.
I still
Oh,
have to
that
figure
one.
that. Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay.
Cool beans.
Still can't talk about because it's
I know,
not
I know.
actually formally done yet.
Right.
But
Cool runnings, bro.
hopefully we're going to do it with him, and I think I might actually try to do it with Chris. I might try to push back the
Be a fun
the
test
big
thing,
interview
too.
so we can test it with Chris to see how well it works, because that's literally the only way we can do it.
Chris would be
Then,
rad.
then he can do his masterful impressions on this.
He can.
Yes.
He can be Caitlin.
He can
Oh,
be
man.
Caitlin.
We need to have
Other
other Caitlin. I have a pin.
Oh my God, the
I
Team Girl
love-
Squad.
Dude, holy shit! I actually got all nostalgic yesterday and watched some Teen Girl Squad for the first time in years. Oh my god! I legitimately forgot how funny Homestar Runner actually
Seriously,
was.
though.
They write Yo Gabba Gabba now.
Dude, one of the Homestar guys directed 4 episodes of Gravity Falls.
You serious?
Yeah.
Oh, rad.
Awesome.
So you know, even years later, I'm appreciating that man's work somehow.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I have one last thing again that I did the same thing last episode, but I'm gonna say it again. If you're listening and you animate or you know an animator, I need you to do me a solid because you love me so much, and email us at workinpodcast@gmail.com because I need to talk to you about something that might be paying and might not. But it's coming up real quick, and I need to get it done because it's on my fucking list, and I need to stick to my goddamn list.
I would also, along that point, if you are an artist or a cartoonist and you thought my comic idea pitch was somewhat interesting, I would love to see anyone start, again, maybe pay, maybe not, some early sketches of this. So please also send that email if you would like to be tied into that comic idea.
I could use a graphic designer to create a logo for my blog, and I'm not
Guys.
going to pay you, but just
Hey,
so you know.
While around
You
with your
mentioned this.
boyfriend.
Brad, shut up. No, oh wait, okay. What do you
Let
got?
the man speak.
Shout out to Hotchkoss for rating and reviewing us on iTunes.
Oh yeah, he's
The only one.
I wonder who that is!
The only one.
Possibly be. He's the only
That's
motherfucker.
amazing.
Yeah.
If you want to get a shout out on the show, please rate and review us on iTunes.
Seriously, we're so fucking hard up.
We have
I'm
one.
gonna get an iTunes account just as
We will
It's
shout you
like
out
a
so hard.
sentence long.
I don't care. I'm so excited.
Okay, yeah, that's it for us.
But no, seriously, the animator thing is the most important thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pertinent. Like these guys, like, and
Didn't
help these
mean
guys
to
too.
steal
That's,
his thunder, but
no, that's good. These guys need help with their personal shit too.
Hotchkoss.
But the
You know an
animator,
animator.
yeah, the
Hotchkoss.
animator is very much
Send us one of your
for the
kids.
podcast. But yeah, that's all we got. Caitlin, we'll have you on again sometime when you actually show up at a good time. That's not fucking 3/4 of the way through the goddamn
It was at
podcast.
the
No,
53
we already
minute
got
mark.
like 2
what is it,
seconds.
53 minute mark.
53-minute mark? Yeah, so
Yeah.
a little bit over
you
half.
gotta log a little bit of time on the show.
Yeah. Starting on my left, we'll go around the table saying each other's. Hey, get off your phone. We're not done yet.
It's important.
We are literally about to be done. Just hold
Stop
on.
flirting
It's my
and
first day. It's
Put your
Do your
put your
send-off.
lady cock back in your pants for a second and just wait. On my left, we've got,
Andrew.
Mitch.
Brandon.
Caitlin.
Tess.
and I'm Jake. We'll see you guys all. I guess this is the second episode. We'll see you next week.
Thank
See you. Rate, review on
Lady
iTunes.
cock.
Yay.